every year since, God knows when, 2002 actually, I have been a hardcore racing fan, and every year since, I want to say 2007? Maybe? I don't know. The Memorial Day racing weekend has been like Thanksgiving Day for me. Actually, the Sunday before Memorial Day has been the auto racing fans' Thanksgiving Day since before I became a racing fan. I want to say since the beats the daylights out of me 1960s or 1970s? But anyway, enough stalling, it's time to review the 2018 Memorial Day racing weekend and preview the 2019 Memorial Day racing weekend.
It's all in our hands, together we stand. Take one step, I will take mine. We don't wanna run, we don't wanna hide. We just wanna light up the fire inside. We wanna go where no one has gone. Give them our strength, they will carry on. This is our moment, this is our time. We're born for this journey, we'll bring in new life. We wanna go where no one has gone. Give them our strength, they will carry on.
Hey, what's up, Mooch Crew? It's Alan Mooch here, and welcome to the 2018 Memorial Day Racing Review and 2019 Memorial Day Racing Preview. For everyone who's new to my channel, welcome! I have been doing this for a couple of years now, and like always, we have 3 big races to talk about, so let's get started. The first race on Sunday is the Monaco Grand Prix, and can I be honest, I don't even know why I bother talking about this race. Formula 1 racing is so low on my racing priorities, but since it's the opening act on the day, might as well talk about what I can, right? So last year I predicted Daniel Ricciardo, this was on a blind guess mind you, and his Aston Martin powered Red Bull racing machine to win the race. And oh boy, did he win it alright. So where do I begin with this race? Alright, let's start with what happened before the Grand Prix began, as that would set up the storylines for Sunday itself. Max Verstappen was forced to start in the back of the field and would not have a classified time in the first round of qualifying within the 107% requirement. Okay, I don't know how Formula 1 qualifying rules work, but I digress about that. He was allowed to race at the steward's discretion, but he would be given a 15-place penalty on the starting grid, 5 spots for an unscheduled gearbox change, and another 10 spots for the use of a third MGUK. As a NASCAR and IndyCar fan, the MGUK rules, the MGK usage rules confuse and make no sense to me, but I digress. While Verstappen would be starting in the back of the pack, Daniel Ricciardo was out seeking to avenge his loss in 2016 when his team failed to have the tires ready for a late race pit stop that gave Lewis Hamilton the win in Monaco. Oops. So, how do you start your quest to avenge a loss from 2 years ago? Well, you simply outrun 2017 Monaco Grand Prix winner Sebastian Vettel in the final round of qualifying to start on the pole yourself. And that's exactly what Daniel Ricciardo and his number 3 team did. So, the race begins and Ricciardo takes off and leads lap 1 of 78 of the 78 laps around the tight and narrow street track. Remember, the Formula 1 cars are really big cars, and they're racing on a tiny little street track. While Ricciardo takes off with the lead, and continues to lead around the raceway, Verstappen was making his way through the field, making passes left and right. Wait. Are we sure you guys gave me the right script? Because I was 100% certain that you could not make passes in Formula 1 racing. Oh, you did give me the correct script. Okay, moving on then. 52 laps later, and we would have our first DNF on the day, as Fernando Alonso would have a gearbox issue that would force the McLaren driver to have an early end to his day. Alonso would be credited with a 20th place finish in his final Monaco Grand Prix. Get used to that Alonso guy's name. He's important to our next race we're going to talk about. Fast forward a few laps later, and wait. You're telling me that you can actually get speeding penalties on pit road in Formula 1? Well, this is news to me, as the New Zealand driver, Brendan Hartley, was issued a 5-second penalty for speeding on the pit lane. This is vital information for what I'm about to say next. 70 laps into the event, and we have a collision between Hartley and Polish driver, and forgive me if I mess this name up, Lieslerich, coming out of the famous tunnel. This collision brought out a virtual safety car? Seriously, how in the fucking hell does Formula One caution protocol even work? No wonder why I have such a hard time getting into Formula One. It's so damn confusing to me. Oh, sorry. Anyway, while all of that is going on, Ricciardo has been leading the entire event to this point and has been holding off Lewis Hamilton, who has been trying and failing to this point to get around Ricciardo. Thanks to the virtual safety car coming out, Lewis Hamilton would get another shot at passing Ricciardo for the win. Or would he? Because when they went back to racing, Ricciardo took off and never looked back to take the checkered flag, while Vettel would sneak around Hamilton to take second place when the checkered flag fell. Sebastian Vettel would finish 7.3 seconds behind Ricciardo. Oh, and did I mention that Ricciardo had to win the 2018 Monaco Grand Prix while he was down a cylinder? Because he had to, and it had to be brutal for him. 78 laps while down a cylinder, and having to lead all, let me repeat that, lead all 78 laps while being chased down by Lewis Hamilton and then Sebastian Vettel late in the race. I'm actually impressed he won that event. Also, are we sure that he was down a cylinder? So as you can see, there is a selling point to Monaco, and more power to you if you enjoy Formula One racing, but it just isn't for me. The last Monaco Grand Prix I watched was the 2015 Grand Prix when Nico Rosberg won the event driving a Mercedes. That was the year before Rosberg won the title, and he was all like, well, I did it. I won the Formula One title, and I am a Formula One world champion. Now fuck this shit, I'm out. Actually, 2015 Monaco Grand Prix was the only Monaco Grand Prix I have watched, as that was the only one I was up early enough to catch. This year, with the unknowns and the possibility of anything happening, and believe me, I take every possible outcome into account, I have a 2-for-2 streak going into a 2-for-2 prediction streak going into this race. In 2017, I predicted Sebastian Vettel would win, and I got that one right, and I predicted Daniel Ricciardo to win last year, and I got that right too. This year is the 77th running of the event, and anyone in the race can win it. But don't get your hopes up if you're not a Mercedes fan. They basically ran the season 5 races in, and both drivers for Mercedes have won. And I expect much of the same out of Monaco, with Lewis Hamilton winning another Monaco Grand Prix. Yes, this is me saying Formula One has an equivalent to the NBA's Golden State Warriors. Very much hated, but yet all around respected by fans and other teams alike. Hey, Hamilton, I hear you could challenge Alonso for the racing Triple Crown with the Indy 500 and the 24 Hours of Le Mans if you want to try and do that after your time in Formula One is done. It would be a really good rivalry story and something I'd keep up with. So after the 77th Monaco Grand Prix, we go to an event much older, but just as revered, if not more revered than Monaco itself. I am, of course, talking about the Indianapolis 500, and this storied event has a tale of its own to tell. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, located in Speedway, Indiana, seriously, Google it, it is true, had its building and construction completed in 1909. The owners of Indy Motor Speedway wanted a 24-hour event like Le Mans. The story goes that one person, not sure who it was, actually suggested not to run a 24-hour event, but a 500-mile event instead, and thus the Indianapolis 500 was born. While the event has taken breaks for brief moments in its history, and at one point was overshadowed by another Indianapolis Motor Speedway event, the Brickyard 400, which is a topic for another video, the Indy 500 held up and has stood the test of time repeatedly. And I can say it's thanks to moments like 2006 when Marco Andretti had the Indy 500 lead after passing his father Michael late in the race. And then Sam Hornish Jr. just absolutely came and one-upped Marco and sniped the win away from the young Andretti coming to the checkered flag. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not enough for you? Okay, then 2011 had to do it for you when rookie driver J.R. Hildebrand came from out of nowhere with 4 laps to go and steal the lead while everyone else was on pit road, was making one last fuel stop. All Hildebrand had to do was just hold down the fort for 4 more laps. He did hold down the fort for 3 laps and had 1 corner to go. And then disaster struck as his number 4 Panther Racing Honda shot up the racetrack and slammed into the outside wall, allowing Dan Weldon to sneak by and win and snipe the win away from the rookie. This would be Weldon's last Indy 500 win and last IndyCar racing win, I believe, and we, as the racing community, still miss Weldon to this day. Wait, what do you mean 2011 wasn't enough to convince you? Okay, how about 2013, when when Tony Kanaan drove a Lotus to victory lane in complete upset fashion. Still not enough? Okay, how about 2014 when Brian Hunter-Reay and Helio Castroneves went wheel-to-wheel in the closing laps of the event, culminating in the closest Indy 500 finish in history with Hunter-Reay coming out on top. What? You gotta be kidding me. What will it take? Wait, I know. The 100th running of the Indianapolis 500 with a highly competitive race, topped off with Alexander Rossi making his name known when he won the race, becoming the 10th rookie in history to win the Indianapolis 500. Now that is what I call elite company. If that doesn't convince you, I have no idea what will, because surely you wouldn't care about Sana's amazing run coming to become the first Japanese driver to win the 2017 Indy 500. The Indianapolis 500, to me, is historically and on-track product-wise the best event on the day, and it has been that way since 2015. And last year's event was no exception, as once again it was another great day for Indy. And oh, by the way, this year's running of the Indianapolis 500 promises to be another good year. So, I predicted Will Power to win this race, and I got that one right too. Let's talk about how this race broke down. So, for the 102nd running of the Indy 500, hometown driver Ed Carpenter would start on the inside of row 1. That's basically the pole position. And would lead the first 3 laps of the event before Joseph Newgarden, who was the defending IndyCar champion in 2018, passed Carpenter on lap 31. That lead Newgarden would be short-lived as Spencer Pigot blasted by the number 1 Team Penske Chevrolet on lap 32. Pigot would lead the race until lap 34 when Ed Carpenter came back to take the lead. The first caution would fly on lap 48 when Australian driver James Davison and Japanese driver Takuma Sato being the defending Indy 500 winner, crashed and took each other out. This would give everyone a chance to pit on lap 50, where Carpenter would lose the lead to Canadian driver Zachary Clayman DeMello, who would lead from lap 51 to lap 55. The green flag would fly once again on lap 56, and Clayman DeMello would not lead for long as Carpenter blasted by Zachary to take the lead back, and the 20 car of Ed Carpenter would not relinquish the lead on the entire green flag run. That's because the green flag run was short-lived and lasted until lap 58 when United Arab Emirates driver Ed Jones, who was driving the number 10 Chip Ganassi Honda at this time, lost control of his car coming off turn 2, and that would force a lap 64 restart. The restart would be a good one for Tony Kanaan and his AJ Foyt-owned number 14 race car, as he would blast by Carpenter to take the lead. Kanaan would lead until lap 65, and before he got past, when Carpenter took the lead back in, he wouldn't relinquish the lead for the rest of the green flag run. He being Carpenter, by the way. Because once again, the green flag racing was short-lived. Because on lap 68, the number 13 car, driven by the retiring Danica Patrick at this time, would crash in turn 2 in a similar manner to how Ed Jones crashed on lap 58, and her day ended early, and she would be credited with a 30th place finish. That doesn't matter. The Ed Carpenter Racing owned 13 car was a one-race rental anyway. The only notable drivers to duck onto pit road under this yellow flag would be Newgarden, DeMello, and rookie driver Robert Wickens. Please get better soon, Wickens. We want you back behind the wheel of an Indy car. The race would restart on lap 73, and just like the last restart, Kanaan would blast right by Ed Carpenter's number 20 car and would lead until lap 89 when he would pit. And that began a flurry of pit stops where Carpenter would lead laps 90 and 91 before pitting. When Carpenter pitted, Will Power would lead laps 92 through 94 before pitting. Oriol Servio would lead lap 95 and would pit, giving the lead to Sebastian Bourdais on 96 before Bourdais pitted his number 18 Honda and gave the lead to Graham Rahal on lap 97. On lap 99, Tony Kanaan had his hopes for a second Indy 500 victory dashed, as he would have a tire puncture, forcing him to make an unscheduled stop that would put him and his number 14 AJ Foyt Racing team down a lap. Rahal would lead until lap 105 when he would make a stop, giving the lead to Zachary Clayman DeMello on lap 106. DeMello would lead until lap 107 when he would pit, and that would cycle the lead to Will Power on lap 108. On lap 110, the number 32 Junko's racing car, driven by Kyle Kaiser, would have a mechanical failure. But the race would stay green because Kaiser was able to get his car off the raceway, and to the safety of the garage. Meanwhile, Will Power would lead until lap 128, when Power brings his number 12 Team Penske Chevrolet down pit road, and Ryan Hunter-Reay would take over the lead on lap 129. Hunter-Reay would would bring his number 28 Andretti Autosport Honda down pit road after lap 129, and that would give the lead back to Sebastian Bourdais on lap 130. Sebastian Bourdais would surrender the lead on lap 132, and Newgarden would take the one car back to the lead on lap 133. Newgarden would lead until lap 134, and Graham Rahal went back to the lead on lap 135. Rahal would keep his number 15 car out front and leading the race until lap 137 when he pitted, giving Carlos Munoz his first lead of the race on lap 138. While Munoz was leading, the fourth caution of the race would come out on lap 139 when Sebastian Bourdais and his 18 team would have their day end when Bourdais lost control in turn 3 while running close behind Alexander Rossi's 27 car. I'm talking about Bourdais by the way, would try to save his car in the north chute, but would fail as his 18 car would spin around and slam into the turn 4 wall. The green flag would fly on lap 145 and Will Power would scuttle away to a comfy lead. Only to get the curse of hearing that the caution has come out yet again because for Helio Castroneves, who came spinning off turn 4. Will Power would once again lead the field to the restart to the green flag on lap 154, and just like he would on lap 145, he would scuttle his number 12 Team Penske Chevrolet to a comfy lead. But if I was the driver in the 12 car, I would be very worried about Alexander Rossi in that 27 Andretti Autosport Honda, as he makes daring moves on the outside lane of turn 1 and 2 to get back into the lead group. Luckily for Power, Rossi wouldn't get to him. No, Rossi wouldn't get to Power because once again, Power was cursed by hearing the caution had come out yet again. This time for Sage Karam, who would lose his control of his 24 car, as I'm talking about Karam this time, would crash into the outside wall coming off of turn 4. The contact into the turn 4 wall caused the right rear tire of Karam's car to fall off. During this caution period, while the front runner stayed out, a few drivers, which includes Oriol Servia, Stefan Wilson, Jack Harvey, and Scott Dixon, would duck onto pit road in hopes of getting more cautions in the remaining laps. The green flag would fly once again through the air on lap 162, with Will Power leading over Ed Carpenter. The running order would stay mostly the same until pit stops from lap 170 to lap 175. Will Power would pit on lap 170, and that would give the lead to Ed Carpenter on lap 171. Carpenter would lead until lap 172 when he pitted, and Rossi would take the lead on lap 173. Rossi would promptly pit and give Simon Pagenaud the lead on lap 174, and then Pagenaud would pit his 22 car after leading the lap, and the lead would be given back to Carlos Munoz on lap 175. After leading the lap, he would pit, and Oriol Servia would take the lead back on lap 176. Servia would pit on lap 177, and that would give the lead back to Robert Wickens on lap 178. Wickens would pit on lap 179 when he was leading, and then the caution would fly for the final time when Tony Kanaan lost control of his 14 car coming off turn 2, and I'm talking about Kanaan this time, would crash into the outside wall. That set up the final restart on lap 194, where Oriol Servia was quickly passed by Will Power and Stefan Wilson. Wilson and Servia, who were gambling on one last caution to come out to save fuel, would not get the yellow flag they wanted, as Will Power would settle into third place on lap 195. And then he would take the lead on lap 196 when Servia and Wilson had to pit for fuel. All Will Power has to do now is hold down the fort for the next 4 laps. Holding down the fort for the next 4 laps. Now, where have I heard that before? And actually, with a comfortable 2-second lead over Ed Carpenter, Will Power did hold down the fort and won the elusive Indy 500 ring that he almost captured back in 2015. And my gosh, that was a beautiful moment to see Will Power win. Just the emotions that he had in that race too. This year's Indianapolis 500 has 33 of the world's best drivers racing, and we even had another bump day as 36 cars tried to make the field this year. Last year they were like 35, I believe. The last row for the 103rd Indy 500 would be settled among Max Chilton, Sage Karam, Kyle Kaiser, James Hinchcliffe, Patricio O'Ward, and Fernando Alonso. Oh yeah! Remember how I stated in the Monaco Grand Prix segment that you have to get used to that Alonso guy's name because he's important to our next race we're going to talk about? Well, now he's important to this year's race. Fernando Alonso, a two-time Formula One champion and 2018 24 Hours of Le Mans winner, recently decided to leave Formula One racing, like at the end of the 2018 season recent. He was back in Indy for his second attempt at winning the Indianapolis 500 since 2017. Alonso did actually have the 2017 Indy 500 well in hand. That was until his engine let go late in the going, and that gave the win to Takuma Sato. Bump day was as wild as you would expect, with Sage Karam taking the 31st spot, James Hinchcliffe would get locked into the show as he would start 32nd, and Fernando Alonso would hold down the 33rd and final spot in the Indy 500 starting grid with a speed of 227.353 miles per hour, with just one car to go. That one car left to make a run in to try and make the Indy 500, and unsponsored number 32 Juncos Racing Chevrolet being driven by Kyle Kaiser. Kyle Kaiser would knock Alonso down to 34th and out of the race with a speed of 227.372 miles per hour over 4 laps, and would lock the unsponsored 32 car into the show. 7-Eleven, Do Us a Solid, and Police sponsored the 32 car. Alonso, Award, and Chilton would all be bumped out. And it's actually good publicity for them to get bumped out of the Indy 500, as this will actually increase their search results on Google. Meanwhile, over on the front row, Simon Pagenaud will lead the Indy 500 to the green flag, with Ed Carpenter and Spencer Pigot joining the 22 Team Penske Chevrolet on the front row. This Indy 500 is going to be tough to predict, and I am 1 for 2 in my predictions. In 2017, I predicted James Hinchcliffe would win the Indy 500, and boy was I wrong. Last year, I predicted Will Power to win, and I was actually correct about that, as I stated earlier. I'm going to go on a limb and pick the Ed Carpenter team to win this race. More notably, I am going to pick the 21 Chevrolet of Spencer Pigot. That 21 team is fast. How fast? In day 1 of Indy 500 qualifying, Spencer Pigot actually clocked in at 230.083 miles per hour, and he was on pace to win the pole on the bump day pole day doubleheader after his first lap, but just couldn't keep up the pace as he would fall to 3rd. But it's not about where you start the 500, it's where you finish, and I got a good feeling that Spencer Pigot is going to claim the biggest race of the year. After 2 events where we muddled through the Monaco Grand Prix, and the Indy 500 once again proved it lives up to its moniker as the greatest spectacle in racing, as the Indy 500 has done time and time again, we have one more event left to go on this illustrious Sunday of racing. Break out the grill, get the Feast of Race fans ready, and have your choice of soda by your side. Why? Because we have a whopping 600 miles of racing to go as NASCAR wraps up the day with the 60th running of the Coca-Cola 600. Before I go on, I would like to actually say that NASCAR teams, once again, a lot of NASCAR teams, by the way, are bringing out patriotic paint schemes, and my God, some of them are just amazing eye candy to look at. We've seen schemes, there are some schemes from last year that we've seen, there are new schemes, there are camouflage schemes, stars and stripes schemes, I could go on, but all of them are just eye candy to look at. This has been a Coca-Cola 600 tradition for quite a while now, and I'm actually quite glad it's back once again for this year. Also, NASCAR, I thank you guys for saluting the brave men and women who have paid the price that even I would be too scared to pay. And now, but enough of gushing about that, and thanking NASCAR for saluting our men and women, which we should be saluting them every single day. On to the segment. NASCAR was, is, and always will be my top favorite auto racing league, with IndyCar being a very close second place. But even I have to point out that the racing league has its flaws, but this video is not the time nor place for a personal rant on the leaders of NASCAR and their boneheaded decisions on the direction of the racing league itself. This is about the Memorial Day racing weekend and the 60th running of a racing classic that caps off the Sunday of racing. But it didn't always start that way. But just like the boneheaded moves on NASCAR leadership, that is another video for another time. Actually, I do want to make a Coca-Cola 600 history video, by the way. The Coca-Cola 600 is brutal and unforgiving for anyone who runs in this race. 400 laps around the 1.5 mile quad oval for a grand total of 600 miles. The Coca-Cola 600 has had 60 runnings and in the last few years has been hit or miss with the on-track product. But historically, this race is really great, and just like I said earlier, so are the patriotic paint schemes that the teams run for the event. Historic moments include 2016, when Martin Truex Jr. put a whopping on the field where he led 392 laps, which is 588 miles, en route to victory. In 2017, we had a great fuel mileage race and a historic moment at the same time when Austin Dillon would go on and bring the 3-car back to victory lane for the first time since 2000. And there was last year when Kyle Busch won on every active track in NASCAR has ran at. Speaking of last year's event, let's talk about last year's event. Okay, so last year I want to point out that I predicted Chase Elliott to win, and I don't know what it is, but every time I predict a winner in the Coca-Cola 600 winner, the driver I pick does not win. But I digress onto the race itself. Since 2017, when stage racing, fucking hell, was implemented, the Coca-Cola 600 has been 4 stages, and each stage is 100 laps, which is 150 miles. I have a lot to unpack despite the lack of lead changes and all the good stuff of a NASCAR race. So here's how the Coca-Cola 600 played out last year. We begin the 2018 Coca-Cola 600 with Kyle Busch on the pole, and then he promptly gets passed by the 22 Ford Fusion of Joey Logano. He, talking about Logano, would lead from lap 1 to lap 4 when Kyle Busch took the lead away from Logano on lap 5. On lap 38, the first yellow flag comes out when Austin Dillon, the defending race winner, spins out and crashes in turn 2. On the ensuing lap 44 restart, Kyle Busch pulls away and he will hold the lead down until lap 85 when Kevin Harvick spins out and crashes over in turn 3, bringing out the second caution of the race. Kyle Busch would pit and Brad Keselowski would stay out and lead lap 86 and 87. Being only the third different leader in this race, Keselowski's lead was short-lived as the patriotic Deuce got passed by the 18 of Kyle Busch, and the onslaught of Kyle Busch was on until the end of the stage when the caution flew on lap 102. Everyone would make pit stops and Kyle Busch would get the 18 Toyota Camry off pit road first. But that's fine! It's only one stage of racing! We've only raced 150 miles! Clearly this can't go on for the rest of the race! We still have 450 miles to go! Is what we all said to ourselves. Little did we know the racing gods had other plans for us with how this race was going to go. This is going to get really awful really fast. Stage 2 had its green flag fly on lap 108, and just like before, nobody could catch Kyle Busch. That 18 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota team was on point, and there seemed to be nothing that could stop them. That wasn't until William Byron went first spin on lap 116 and brought out another caution. Now the 18 on Kyle Busch is going to fall apart, right? Nope! Kyle Busch goes right back to leading the Coca-Cola 600 lap 120, only to have to see the yellow flag come right back out when Jimmy Johnson, Joe Logano, Denny Hamlin, and Eric Jones all crash in turn 4 on the restart. Not even one lap into the restart and we have a yellow flag. Oh, but don't worry, the cleanup is quick and we're going to go right back to green flag racing on lap 124. Where Kyle Busch takes off and leads and nobody can catch him. Are you positive that you gave me the 2018 Coca-Cola 600 post-race script? I swear I'm reading the 2016 post-race script only with Kyle Busch as the race leader and not Truex Jr. Anyway, Kyle Busch continues to lead the race until lap 158 when he pits and that gives Denny Hamlin the lead. This would be only our 4th different leader of the race. Okay, now I am more than convinced you guys gave me the 2016 post-race scripts. Are you positive this is the 2018 race I'm talking about and not the event from 16? It is the 18 race? Fucking hell. Anyway, Denny Hamlin leads the race from lap 159 to lap 165 when he would come to pit road, effectively giving the lead back to Joey Logano, who would lead the race from lap 163 until lap 173 when he pitted. Once the 22 Team Penske Ford Fusion pitted, Kyle Busch and his 18 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, Kyle Busch being the pole sitter by the way, took the lead back on lap 166, and they would lead all the way to the end of stage 2 when the caution would fly on lap 202. Oh, it's only been 2 stages! We ran 300 miles! Clearly the nighttime for the 18 is gonna be hell! We all said to ourselves. The same thing happened to Carl Edwards in 2011. He was absolutely dominant during the deal and to crumble under the lights. We all said to ourselves, oh, but the racing gods weren't done with their cruel punishment of the 2018 edition of the Coca-Cola 600. The green flag would fly yet again on lap 208 and to begin the third stage of the race, and Kyle Busch would do what Kyle Busch has been doing this whole race, leading and dominating. However, while he was dominating the race, the caution would fly yet again on lap 226 as the 23 of Corey LaJoie would spin out in turn 4. Nah, we're good there. This car is in beast mode. Kyle Busch and his team would tell themselves as the green flag would fly yet again on lap 231. And once again, Kyle Busch flexed the driving muscles on his 18 Camry and would begin to strangle the field once again. That was until lap 259 when Chris Buescher spun out and his 37 Chevrolet Camaro had crashed over in turn 4. They would get back to racing on lap 265. Just like before, Kyle Busch would drive away and show no mercy for about 9 laps because on lap 273, Kyle Larson went for a spin in turn 1 and brought out the 9th yellow flag of the race. The green flag would fly again on lap 278, and Kyle Busch wouldn't even get a chance to pull away from the field because on lap 279, just 2 laps into the restart, the caution would fly for the 10th time as Ryan Blaney and his number 12 Ford Fusion leaked oil on the racetrack. The green flag would fly yet again on 286, and Kyle Busch would once again flex his driving muscles and pull away from the field as he would just absolutely checked out from the field until the caution flag flew for the 11th and final time on lap 301 for the end of stage 3. We've raced 450 miles. Get it right now so we can all go home. I swear we're watching 2016 all over again. The Aero package is shit. This points format is fucking shit. And we all know Kyle Busch is going to win anyway. We're all crying at this point. My God, I thought Monaco was bad, but at least Monaco had something this race doesn't have. Entertaining storylines and drama. Yes, for the second time in 3 years, the Coca-Cola 600 was a dud, and Monaco would not be labeled as the worst race of the Memorial Day racing weekend. Oh, but the racing god showed the NASCAR faithful no mercy and allowed the final 150 miles to play out, rather than just let the rain fall and call the race there. The green flag would fly on lap 308, and from there on out, it was the Kyle Busch show. All we could do was hope for a caution, something, anything that would cost the 18 Toyota team this race. The only noteworthy thing that happened was Kyle Busch would either be passed by Denny Hamlin, or that Kyle Busch pitted in, and that gave Denny Hamlin the race lead on lap 353 and lap 354. Maybe, just maybe, there is some hope. Oh wait, Denny Hamlin was still paying for the sins he committed in the Martinsville 2017 chase for the Cup race, and Kyle Busch would take the lead for the last time on lap 355, and he would never let it go for the rest of the race until the checkered flag flew on lap 400, when he crossed the finish line in first place by 3.8 seconds over Martin Truex Jr. Kyle Busch had won, and as such, etched his name as the first driver to win on all active tracks in NASCAR, a feat that Jeff Gordon came so close to achieving after winning at Texas in 2009. All Gordon and his 2014 needed to do was win in Homestead, and they had it. And then in 2011, NASCAR punched Jeff Gordon's fans, Gordon's team, and Gordon himself in the dicks when they added Kentucky to the schedule, ultimately fucking Jeff Gordon's chances of adding another notch into his first ballot NASCAR Hall of Fame career resume, and ultimately destroying a great marketing ploy that NASCAR could have used until Jeff Gordon's retirement in 2015. I swear, I was watching the 2016 event all over again. Wait, what? Oh, you're telling me Kyle Busch only led 377 laps in 2018 as opposed to Truex Jr.'s 392 laps in 2016? Well, then it sure felt like I was watching 2016 all over again. With all that being said about last year's event, 2019 has a brand new unknown. The brand new Aero package. This Aero package was amazing at Kansas just 2 weeks ago, and the All-Star Showdown and the All-Star Race last Saturday were phenomenal. Just don't ask about the hood ducks that NASCAR was testing out for the Gen 7 cars in the All-Star Race. Those failed horribly at making the racing better, and I never want to see them again. And now I have to pick my race winner, don't I? Oh no. Oh god. I have an 0-for-2 track record on this. In both years of predicting the race winner, I have predicted Chase Elliott, and it turns out when I pick him, yeah, he doesn't win. But when I least expect Elliott to win, he absolutely pounces on my distrust and takes the win. Apparently, it's like I should have picked Kyle Busch last year, because I am, apparently, the urinating tree of NASCAR. And when I picked him in a NASCAR race, does not win. Okay, who am I jinxing this year? In terms of the field for the Coca-Cola 600, this talent level is very high. I'd say just as competitive as the field of 33 in this year's Indianapolis 500. By process of elimination, my prediction is that Chevrolet is going to come out of the 60th running of the Coca-Cola 600 on top of the leaderboard. My money is on Kyle Larson or Alex Bowman. Larson for the tear he has been on since having a great finish at Dover. This includes his All-Star race win last Saturday, and Bowman for his 3 straight second-place finishes. You all may jump off a bridge as Kevin Harvick or Kyle Busch will find their way to victory lane. The racing gods will make sure of it. And there you have it. That is my complete review of last year's events and the preview I have of this year's events. I'm sure I'll have something to say about the race, about the day of racing on Sunday when we get there. If I can get up for Monaco on time for the first time since 2015, that'd be great. Then at least I'd have something to tide me over until the Indy 500. If not, I'm sure I'll hear about it somewhere. In the meantime, thank you all for watching so much. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And if you have not yet, make sure you follow me on social media. All my social media handles are in the description down below. Don't forget to subscribe to all my friends on YouTube. Links to their channels in the description down below, as well as my other channel, SonicFan1750, where I post Sonic videos. Also, join my Discord server if you have not yet. The invite link to that is in the description down below. And if you have not yet and you want to, make sure you go check me out on Twitch. My Twitch channel link is in the description down below. That's Alan Mooch, ALAN_M00CH, spelled the same way as my Snapchat and my Instagram. Alright guys, that'll do it for this video. Don't forget to keep on dancing, move your feet to the beat, and remember, until we get another Batman, I'm Alan! I'm out of here. I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Here comes the outro. Break it down now.